Monday morning, 7:45, live and local with Russ Clark, AM 560, KBLU. I have the Senator on the phone. Senator McCain, good morning.
Good morning, Russ. How are you?
Man, I am doing well. It's good to hear from you. I've been reading the paper, Senator, and it looks like you guys don't get any days off anymore.
Well, I'll tell you what, the fight is worth it. This is 1/6 of our nation's gross national product we're talking about, and if the Democrats succeed, we will see the end of health care as we know it, and including all those citizens who are on Medicare and Medicare Advantage that they paid into, by the way, that they paid into. This is serious business, so I don't mind spending the weekends here trying to do the Lord's work in the city of Satan.
That's right. Hey, but before we get into the work that you've been doing, we were talking off air for years briefly about the Intrepid that I went and visited in New York. And, of course, for those that don't know, it's an aircraft carrier and one that you served on at one time.
Yes, I was an air wing based. The first air wing that I was assigned out of pilot training was on board the USS Intrepid. And, this was an era where the Intrepid was an older carrier even then, and we only had 2 catapults. And we were operating with aircraft carriers like the Forrestal class, and in those days was modern. And they had 4 catapults, and we were always proud that we would steam alongside the bigger carriers, and we would get our planes launched before them and landed before them. We were a very proud group on that little carrier. And then I transitioned to the Enterprise, which was a dramatic change because that was the first nuclear aircraft carrier. And a huge one. But the people of New York City and New York State and America have done a great job with the Intrepid up there, as you have mentioned. When any of our citizens find themselves in New York City, a trip to visit the Intrepid there is a worthwhile visit.
Well, we took the audio tour, and you're featured in the audio tour. A number of times. We get to listen to our senator from Arizona on the audio tour talk about the Intrepid, which was wonderful.
And they got an A4 aircraft, which is
yes, they do.
And with my name on it. So, I guess if you live long enough, anything can happen.
Hey, speaking of things that are happening, and right now, healthcare, I know it's one of the first and foremost on your agenda because it's happening now. Are we going to be able to stop this thing?
Well, Russ, when we've talked over the period of time while this has been going on, I've always been a little pessimistic because they have 60 votes. They have 60 Democrat votes. But for the first time, I think we got a shot at beating this because the American people are speaking up. They are speaking up loudly and strongly. And they're flailing around. Right now, you won't believe this, but right now, the only person who knows what the latest health care proposal is the majority leader. Right. I was on the floor with the number 2 guy, Senator Durbin of Illinois, having a colloquy, and I said, "What is the plan?" And he said, none of us know what the plan is. So here we are nearly a year later, and nobody knows what the plan is.
That's shocking.
It's because the majority leader, Senator Reid of Nevada, keeps throwing these proposals at the Congressional Budget Office to try to get a reading from them that there will be cost reductions. Believe me, you can't get there from here. If you were trying to expand any entitlement program in the dramatic fashion they are, you're not going to cut costs.
Right.
And there is no real cost savings measure. There's no malpractice reform in this. There's no ability to go across state lines and get the health insurance policy or your choice. There's no ability for small business to join together and negotiate with health insurers to get a good deal for themselves like the big companies get. I mean, there's nothing in there except expansion of government. And thank God people... And I ask our listeners, let us hear from you. Let us hear from you, and let the members of the House hear from you too.
Well, let me tell you. You mentioned the people speaking out, and I'm assuming you mean like tea parties too, because they're out there.
Absolutely.
We just had one Saturday. A little over 500 folks showed up, and talking, and they're still engaged, Senator. They still want some changes. In fact, a lot of them wanted me to ask you questions, which we're doing. And number one was the health care. Next one was the TARP funds. It looks like money's been coming back, but can the president capture that and use it as his own slush fund?
No, they have to change the law. The law is clear that the money should go back to the deficit. What does that mean? It means back to the taxpayers. But they're going to do everything they can to use that TARP money for another slush fund. Let me just mention one other thing that happened. I don't expect people to watch C-SPAN on Saturday, but I got as fired up on Saturday as I have ever been because we just passed a $460 billion omnibus appropriations bill, 3 of the bills we had never seen before, and they have provisions in it such as $2.9 million, an earmark, we get this, $2.9 million to study surgery in outer space. That's for the University of Nebraska. Now, I know that all the Star Trekkies are very interested in that.
Okay.
But can you believe it?
No.
Can you believe it?
No.
There's several $100,000 for a study of irritable bowel syndrome, I believe is what it's called. And if we stay much longer on this health bill, I might even support that amendment. But the fact is that it's filled with $4.3 billion worth of pork. I mean, total unnecessary, wasteful, corrupting pork.
Believe it or not, I have been watching some of it, and you have been very hawkish on this pork and on this stuff.
By the way, we Twitter the top 10 of the pork barrel projects.
Yeah,
follow us, and I'm telling you, some of them, they make you laugh and they make you cry.
Well, and I've got them here actually, and I've got the one for the socialist anti-capitalist puppet show.
Yeah.
Now, I happened to listen to someone from Pennsylvania that was supporting this and thought this was a good idea. And the reasoning behind it, Senator, is amazing. The reason behind it is that any money spent goes into circulation and it's good for the environment. So it's good to know that their frame of mind is it doesn't matter. Just spend the money anywhere. And
well, that's right.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's right, Russ. What we really need to do, there's probably some old DC-3s up out at Tucson, out there, DM in the boneyard.
Right.
We should probably, have those cargo doors on the side. We should just load it up with money and fly around the country and shovel it out the door. Don't you think that would be the most efficient way to do this?
Well, if I had my druthers, I would be giving it back to the taxpayers or cutting taxes and don't collect it. It's the most efficient way is not collect it in the first place.
Russ, this is a 14%, this bill we passed yesterday, 14% increase in spending over last year. The consumer price index is down 1.3. We have 17% real unemployment in Arizona. We have people out of their jobs. Their homes are foreclosed. And we have a 14% increase in spending with $4.3 billion in pork barrel projects. No wonder the Tea Parties are alive and well, my friend. You're going to see a revolution in this country. I guarantee it. The
people at the Tea Party from this weekend are surprised you know that because they gave me the impression they didn't think you guys read in Washington.
Oh, listen. They obviously, from what we did yesterday, Washington is still insulated. By the way, you know where the job growth has been? Washington, D.C. There was a study yesterday that the average government worker makes $30,000 more than the average worker in America.
I did read that, and I'm thinking about going for a government job, but
maybe shoveling that money out the door of the DC-3, I think, might be a good spot for you. But the point is that there's a disconnect. Yeah. And Americans are... Look, I ride along the street in Phoenix when I was home last, which I couldn't the last 2 weekends. People rolled out... I'm in the street. People roll down their window. Don't let them take our health care away. I'm in line at the coffee shop. Don't let them do that. I'm telling you, the anger is there, and it's justified.
Something I found shocking this morning. Barack Obama was on Oprah this weekend, and he was asked to grade himself on his first year in office. And he gave himself a B+. So he thinks, and Senator, the only thing I can think, and I've commented on this morning, he thinks he's doing exactly what the people want. He thinks he's going the right direction. He thinks he's giving us back what we're asking for, and he couldn't be more wrong in my view.
Well, if you read the polls, he's also wrong, and it continues to go down. Look, I was pleased at what he said about Afghanistan.
Yes.
But did you notice when he was questioned about Afghanistan, he said, well, this will put pressure on Karzai. Yeah. Talking about setting a deadline of mid-2011. This will put pressure on Karzai. This will send a message to Karzai, etc. What does he think the message that we're leaving sends to the Taliban, who are saying, we've got the watch, you've got the watches, but we've got the time?
Okay, yes.
That there is no reason to to have said that there was a date for withdrawal. The only time to withdraw is after you succeed the way we did in Iraq, and then you can withdraw at your own leisure.
Well, if I was writing strategy for the enemy right now,
yep,
I would bury some weapons for 18 months.
Mm-hmm. Why not?
And just wait it out.
Yeah, or go around and tell people that, in addition to that, go around and tell people, say, hey, you cooperate with the Americans, fine, enjoy it now, but 18 months from now, you're going to be in serious jeopardy.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
That's what I'd be, and what do you think the Pakistanis are thinking, who are shaky anyway? They have to stay in the neighborhood. They have problems with Al-Qaeda and Taliban within their own country, and they can't leave in 18 months. They can't get up and leave.
No.
So what message is it that is sending?
Well, and that's what scares me about him giving himself a B+. He thinks he's doing the right thing. What grade would you give him?
I'd give him a D.
Okay.
I think that's... Look, here's the main reason. The main reason is because when they said that they did the stimulus, they said unemployment in America would be a maximum of 8%, and that would be a steady decline, and our economy would be restored. Banks and Wall Street are doing great. Small banks are doing terrible. Wall Street's doing great. Main Street is in deep, serious trouble. And that is a travesty that these banks and these rich financial institutions in New York should be given billions of dollars in bonuses, and we've got 17% unemployment in Arizona. That's close to an F.
Yeah.
I mean that's why I give him a low grade on the economy. Now I don't like it when he goes around and apologizes for America, but I also think that he gave a good speech at Oslo.
Yes.
So we'll see whether it translates into action or not. The best way you can do that, stand up for the people that are demonstrating and dying and being imprisoned and beaten in Tehran right now as we speak.
He was more hawkish in Oslo than I've ever seen him, and
I was glad
it was
to
positive.
see it.
It was positive.
Yeah.
The only reason he gave himself a B+ because he hasn't passed healthcare. If he passed healthcare, I think he would have been an A to himself anyway.
Well, if for the liberal left agenda, I think they would have given themselves an A. Because they've accomplished putting ourselves into a 12. You know that a deficit's going to be $1.5 trillion this year, all-time high by a factor, I think, of 3. I mean, and it never stops. It never stops.
Well, eventually something's going to break. Eventually, someone's not going to loan or buy our bonds, or eventually our inflation's going to take over at a rate that we've never seen before in this country.
Yeah, that's what happens. Is you because we amass such a debt, you start printing money, and you certainly reduce the debt. But what you do is you debase the currency, and then you get hyperinflation, as we had to a degree in the late 70s and early 80s.
I remember.
And then, of course, you have to take the most stringent measures, which is high interest rates, and your economy gets paralyzed. Not to mention what happens to our place in the world if you debase our currency.
Well, we start getting that misery index talk back. If you remember the misery index, inflation plus interest rates.
Yeah, but look, we are winning in public opinion. I'm happy to tell you that 40 Republicans, almost always, are standing together. Well, Mitch McConnell is doing a great job. John Kyle is doing a fantastic job.
I've been reading a lot about him also, yes.
I want to tell you, he is a tremendous leadership role that he's playing amongst Republicans in the Senate. So, look, I believe that we are winning where it counts, and that's could lead up to a 2010 election, which could be seismic in nature.
Senator Lieberman has come out this weekend and said that he will not support the health care bill.
He's an honest man, my friend. He's an honest man.
Well, I think
an honest man.
The Democrats have already done all to him that they can, and he's still alive.
I know, and
so he's really truly independent.
Yeah, and you know another thing about him, Russ, because we're very close, he's one of the few people I've ever known in my life that truly lives his religion. He is truly a man of enormous generosity of spirit.
Yes, he walked to session.
Yeah, he walked all the way from Georgetown.
I don't know if you walked with him, but he walked.
I didn't walk with him, but, that's not a bad idea. I might do that the next time that we're in on a Saturday. I'll go over to his house and walk with him. That'll be fun. I'm telling you, I will recommend that to him today.
Actually, I think it'd be great. When I saw that, and, you have such great respect for him being so honest to his religion, I would have walked with him. I would have, and I thought that was tremendous that he would do that. One more quick question.
Sure.
I'm running out of time. Hillary's campaign funds. It looks like maybe some of her advisors were paid out of stimulus money. Is that something that gets investigated?
No, it should be. It should be. Listen, they are using the stimulus money as just virtual political payoffs. The things that this money is going to,
there seems to be no control.
It never could have, in the wildest imagination, created jobs.
Senator McCain, I'm coming up on a hard break. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Thanks, old friend.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.